Hi everyone, welcome. I have a pair of red wiggler bins that I've been for some time now referring to as my buddy red wiggler bins because I buddied them up soon after the younger of the two systems was launched, and they've been managed together as a pair. Usually when I run systems as pairs, they're usually numbered as 1 and 2. Here too, you got 1 and 2, 1 and 2. But in the case of our buddy bins, they have different start dates. They do have the same types of worms, and it really is only 43 days difference in their ages. But I guess the big deal about their ages today is that the older of the two bins is 200 days of age, getting feeding number 18 and feeding number 15 going into the younger system. So after 12 days, my guess is that they're probably ready for a feeding. Well, let's get them up on the bench and see, because I've got a nice generous portion for them. Let's get to work. Check out that lovely male grapes and bits of tomato and perhaps a part of a banana or a mushroom, strawberry. We'll be able to better see some cucumber skin. Good assortment of stuff. We'll be able to better see when we see mold right there. A little bit of moldy bread and a couple days worth of coffee. Chances are we're going to find a couple coffee filters in here showing us where we last fed. Yep, there they are. Well, at least there's one of them. So I guess what we'll do with the ones that have been in here in the bin getting nice and seasoned, we'll use those down in the feeding zone as supplementary bedding, and the new ones can get put there in their place to mark where we last fed. Now, one observation I made even last time when we visited in on these bins was just how heavy they both are. They're both extremely heavy. So, I guess, I don't want to skimp on giving them food. Definitely want to feed them well because, especially bin number 2 over here. Well, not even bin number 2. I got to remember that these are older and younger, not 1 and 2 of the same aged bins. But the younger one here has like an estimated population of over 4,000 worms in it. But the older one here, not a slouch. I believe over 3,000 worms are thought to live in here as well. So let's just go underneath where the markings were, where the feeding zone indicators were showing us where we last fed. There was a little note in here, and I'm not sure if anyone noticed it, but before I get too messed up, over here in parentheses I mentioned how the gourds that were put in here are now 131 days of age, and I think the other day I even managed to crack one of them pretty easily. So couple check-ins ago, we had a whole bunch of tomatoes. You can still see some skins of the tomatoes laying around here and there. And so many of the tomatoes didn't burst. They were placed into the bin frozen when they were fed, and many of them didn't have their skins breached yet, so like one interval went between feedings where probably half of, or maybe even more than half of the tomatoes didn't get touched, since they were like little sealed packages. So I made sure I popped them all, and then I think at some point we even loaded up the gourds full of all the tomato juice and squirted all the juices in there. It didn't really turn out the way I thought we'd come back and there'd be like a big time worm party happening because of that, but it may have happened. But if it had, then it had already occurred and was long done already. So taking a little peek inside this mango seed husk, where the seed's in there and the worms are down inside nibbling away at that delicious chunk of food. What else do we have here? More pieces of gourd. This is one of those long parts that connect up to the stem. More gourd. Yeah, 131 days. It's been going for some time. I guess here's maybe some evidence of some tomato that had been stuffed inside of a piece of gourd. Alright. Stuff is pretty dense, like thick to have, to run your fingers through. It's not like light and airy. I guess that's got a lot to do with perhaps the moisture content, which is probably the main reason they both feel so heavy, is they probably have a little bit more moisture than they need. And well, look at this juicy meal they're getting. There's a lot of juice coming in with this as well. Just spilled some over the edge. See, I was just about to segue into the topic of not wanting to overfill my systems because it worries me when I'm operating that close to the rim that I might spill material, just like I did a moment ago, as a demonstration for you guys to dramatize the matter. But I should really, okay, oh, yeah, okay. Just want to make sure it was only castings that went overboard, not a bunch of wormies. So let's get the younger system prepped for its feeding, and here we sometimes have pretty large worm sightings just because of the sheer number of worms occupying this particular bin over here, and we're already getting a little taste of that here. Oh boy. And there's pieces of gourd, probably some leftover tomato. Who knows? All kinds of goodies going on over here. Well, I didn't want to just shake loose from there, so we'll scoop it out and help it out. It's all castings. Besides, we would probably want to pile a little bit of food in there too to drive further worm traffic into it. But yeah, this is a busy bin and always fun to check in on. There's always tons of worms hanging out. And as expected, a good bit of moisture here too. I already had a little sneak preview of it just by feeling how heavy both bins were. So, well, you know, I'm going to stick to the original idea, I think, just because I don't want to keep piling too much material into my systems and having them feel like they're going to, you know, overflow if I'm careless in working on them. So we'll get that right there as bedding. The old feeding zone indicator, since we've got a replacement to put in here, and we'll stick to that. Get all these old things that we bumped into along the way down there. Throw in some yummy coffee. Grab a handful of this interesting mix of all kinds of good stuff. I see carrot peels down here too, and oh, not only green grapes but red grapes too. So yeah, nice juicy meal going in. We can afford to give each system probably 2 scoops. Oh, let's not forget to get the gourds down here so that we pile some of the yummy foods that we intend to feed today into the gourds, drive traffic into them. And did we have anything else over here? Maybe, but it probably doesn't matter too much, right? A little bit of yummy coffee. We even had a little bit of fresh vegetation sprouting here within this system that we can feed right back to the wormies, assuming the stuff doesn't try to continue to grow. Yeah, that's looking like a really nice meal. These guys are going to enjoy this. And let's not forget, a little treat. A little bit of moldy bread. Perhaps a little bit more mold going into the older system. All right, that was a fun check-in. Always is, I think, especially with the crowded bin over there, the younger one, the 157-day-old system. Is that right? 157? Yeah. Both systems coming along really nice. I really like the fact that we kind of took the time to move material around over here and get stuff tilled up. But I think it was mainly just an excavation of the feeding zones, wasn't it? Did we even aerate the outer edges? We may have skipped it, but sometimes I just like to do that just to break it up a little bit. It feels to me like if I follow the same exact routine all the time, I don't know. Don't get the opportunity to see if perhaps some other approach might be something I like better, right? So I don't recall if we messed around with the outer edges, but I think we might have left them, and that's cool. I like it that way. So that's it for our check-in with the buddy bins. The red wiggler's doing so nice here, and I'll tell you, I even thought about maybe leaving these plastic covers off. Let these systems ventilate, lose some of their moisture. But, you know, I think we'll just let it ride one more round. Next time I feel like we're going to have to either start adding some bedding or something. Maybe start drying the systems. I don't know. Still got to decide. I've got many other systems that are older than these. Where I'd like to try to, you know, migrate and complete those older systems before I would want to consider finishing a pair of systems that are much younger, but I'll tell you, these original, no, these aren't the originals. These are just red wigglers. But these worms, they're just, you know, making quick work out of their environment, and it does seem like these systems don't have much longer to go, you know? So, I don't know, decisions, we'll have to sort it out in the coming days and weeks. So that's it for the video, everyone. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, as always, please don't forget to leave me a quick thumbs up before you go. That's always really appreciated. And if you haven't done so already, please also consider subscribing to the channel. That's very much appreciated as well. All right, everyone, thanks for watching. Take care, everyone. Bye.